Well, hello, good people. It's time for an episode of Creatively Shaded, your destination for all things Bay Area theater and beyond, honey, where the dish is served and the tea is hot. So let's join our hosts, Bay Area Black artists,
Elizabeth Jones, Phaedra Tillery Belton,
ShawnJ West.
Come peek behind the curtain.
Welcome to another episode of Creatively Shaded.
Yes, and it's Black History Month.
It's Black History Month. But
Black
don't we have another name for that now? It's called Black Futures Month.
Yeah, it's Black History and Futures, yeah?
I think it's just Black Futures Month because I looked it up.
Oh, well.
Black
Tell us what
Futures,
you
Black
looked up.
History.
We celebrate the future of Black love and exchange love notes that articulate manifestations of love beyond romance, binaries, and capitalism, and into the ever-expansive realms of justice and liberation.
Okay.
Right.
Well, you better teach me something.
Well, let's be in the Black future. Let's
Yes.
be in Black future and go right into it.
Yes.
We would like to highlight some of the creatives that are here in the Bay Area and what they're doing for our Black theater.
Yes. First, we're going to start with Michael Gene Sullivan. Now, if y'all know Michael, okay. This man, he's something else, but in a good way. So he's a playwright, he's an actor, he's a director. He's a multi-hyphenate Bay Area theater legend committed to developing theater of social and economic justice, political self-determination, and musical comedy. He's a collective member and resident director of the Tony and Obie Award-winning San Francisco Mime Troupe. If you want to get on more about Michael Gene, just go to michaelgenesullivan.com.
Come on. So let's
Yes.
give it up to Michael Gene
Michael Gene Sullivan.
An amazing writer. He's actually writing a show that we'll talk about a little bit later on today. All right. And our next...
The incomparable Margot Hall.
Yes.
Margot.
Margot Hall is also the director of the Lorraine Hansberry Theater. She's an award-winning actor, director, activist, educator. She's been on the Bay Area stage for 30 plus years as performer and director. A leading presence in national and local theater communities for more than 30 years. The first female artistic director of Lorraine Hansberry, named for the trailblazing Black female playwright, A Raisin in the Sun. Margot took the helm, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so right now they're particularly focusing on fostering Black artists, particularly Black female and non-binary artists who continue to be deeply underrepresented, as well as increasing society's exposure to diverse perspectives. She recently directed How I Learned What I Learned at Marin Theater Company.
Yeah. She's
Yes,
also
Margot.
directing a show we'll talk about later today.
Yes, and she was also in Blind Spotting.
Yeah,
series.
that show is so good.
And she also does our voiceover.
Yeah,
Creatively
she is our
Shaded.
voiceover for our opening for Creatively Shaded. So we give our shout out, Black Futures, to Miss Margot Hall.
Margot Hall, we
Queen
love
Margot.
you.
And last but not least, I decided to spin this a little different way. I would like to highlight Rodney Earl Jackson Jr., who is the artistic director of San Francisco Bay Area Theater Company. That's the theater company that I work for. But I thought it would be interesting to talk about, like, where he's from, and because we're from the Bay Area. Rodney was born and raised in San Francisco. He went to a public school, and what was interesting that I had a conversation with him is that he lived in the projects, and the projects in San Francisco got torn down, which made him end up going to 21st Century Academy, which is now Willow Brown School, and SF Arts Ed came to his school. That's where he met Mr. Danny Duncan, who was a writer, a teacher, Black man in San Francisco, history of San Francisco. Danny Duncan put him in SF Arts Ed, which allowed him to get into the Ruth Asawa School of the Arts.
Okay.
So he went to Ruth Asawa School of the Arts, left there, and then he wasn't ready to go off to college. He thought he was going to study I forgot what it was. I'm sorry. He wasn't for sure about theater for sure.
Yeah.
And so he took a year off and went to community college in San Francisco. And then he said he got back into doing theater. He did 2 shows, like with NCTC and BB Bay. And then applied for Carnegie Mellon, Syracuse, and NYU. Got into all 3.
All right.
Got a full ride into Carnegie Mellon. And then when he got through, he got a full ride and he was like, I don't have the money to go nowhere else. We're going to go to New York, but decided to come back home and start SF Backhoe, which turns 10 this year.
Woo.
When he got in SF Backhoe, they started their first show. A week before their first show, he got into the name of the show. Sorry, guys, my notes are crazy.
Ain't Too Proud?
No. He got into, oh, Lord, where's my notes? Sorry, y'all.
She can't read her own handwriting, y'all.
Yes, I was
reading and writing.
Oh no! Oh, Book of Mormon.
Oh,
he got into
really?
the Book of Mormon and went on to do the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
Then auditioned for Motown, got into Motown, went on tour with Motown, and then got into Ain't Too Proud. But all this while he had started running SF Backhoe. He said it was
Wow.
important that he brought theater back home because that's where it started for him. So I know that kind of took a spin, but I thought his story was really interesting.
no.
But it
Story's
highlighted
incredible.
that these people, this work comes from the Bay Area.
Rooted.
Yes.
Rooted in the Bay Area.
Rooted in the Bay.
And being exposed to art. SF Art said, shout out to you too. I also work for SF Art said, bringing arts into the elementary schools, exposing them to the arts.
That's right.
And then us seeing kids and being like, yes, you need to do this. You need to do that. So that's amazing. That really excited me hearing
We
that
can't
story.
tell.
But it did. It made me believe that anything is possible.
Yes.
That's
and
right.
that the Bay Area has some really rich roots with Michael Jean Sullivan, with Margot Hall, with Rodney. There's nothing that we can't do in the Bay Area.
Absolutely. Don't ever fix your mouth to Shay. There ain't no talented here
Black
in the Bay
talent.
Area.
Black
Black
talent.
talent. There is amazing black talent. And if you nurture it and if you take care of it
right.
and you help us get to where we're going, baby, it ain't no stopping us.
Yeah, because we have examples. Danny Glover,
Yep.
Yes.
David Diggs,
Yes.
Zendaya,
Yep.
Mahershala
Marshall Ali.
Taylor Iman Jones,
Yeah.
and Boots
Boots
Riley.
Riley.
Yeah.
So those are all Bay Area folks
Yeah.
that have made it and done amazing things, but always come back and take care of
Yes.
home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Zendaya was here, I think, either last year, and she went back to, I think it was Oakland the Arts School in Oakland.
OSA.
Yeah, OSA. She went back because I have a friend who works there, and they know each other. It was kind
Yeah.
of cool to see her go back to her roots.
Yeah.
And actually be real. Like, nothing's changed.
That's one thing about our Bay Area folks. We some real down folks.
Yeah.
We gonna
Super
keep
real.
it real no matter where we go.
Yes.
So that's about us highlighting our black local creatives, future and present. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we've been out and we've been about. So last weekend was the theater TBA auditions, and I just want. Okay, the
This
reason
ain't
why
the shade part yet.
this
so-
ain't shady, but
No.
it's funny. So the reason why Phaedra is laughing because Phaedra, can you talk a little bit about like why you were there?
Well, the cool part about this is that you got two different sides of TBAs. I was there as a person watching auditioners and trying to build our SF Backhoe is auditioning for different shows and making sure our roster is full. So when people we look for talent, we have a pool of that. And so Liz was there and she auditioned. And now, mind you, this audition was intense. This was about 250 people over 2 days of from 10 to 5:30.
Long
Each person only had 2 minutes, and you could do whatever you wanted to do in the 2 minutes. Whether it was 2 songs, whether it was a monologue in a song, whether it was a monologue that lasted the whole time, a song that lasted the whole time. It was up to you. And we saw all kinds of things. But the reason why I laugh is, first of all, being an actor is tough and auditioning is tough. And I even said myself, there was a lot of people watching the auditioners.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of Bay Area theaters were there. So you had 60 to 80 people in the audience watching you do this 2-minute audition. And at 2 minutes, somebody was telling you time.
Okay, so that's what I'm
that
gonna come
leads to
in.
Liz's story.
All right, everybody. So when I was at home preparing, I timed myself. I made sure that my monologue was really quick, and I made sure that my song was pretty quick. And in total, I had 2 minutes. But however,
Sorry.
yes.
I hate to interject. Did you have exactly 2 minutes, or did you have 1:59 minutes?
In my memory, I want to say when I was rehearsing, it was 1:55. So I was
you was
cutting
right
it close.
on it.
I was like right on it.
Okay.
So I was cutting it close. I was like, okay. But then I started thinking to myself, I was like, when are they going to start the time? Are they going to start the time like after I slate? So when we say slate, what we were saying is that we say our name, we state what we're going to perform. So when I get in there, Well, first I go over and talk to the pianist because I have to tell him, when I'm going to start singing. So I do my monologue first, and I start that, and then I look at him, and then I'm like, hit it. And so I'm getting into the song, and I'm like singing, and then all of a sudden I just hear time, and I'm like, and I just went like this. Thank you. I like literally stood like this and was like frozen, and I just bowed. Like I did this deep bow. Thank you. And I like went off. It was very bizarre.
It was so funny. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of people hit that 2-minute thing, right? That 2-minute time. And there were 4 different people stopping people from like doing the time. Like, okay, it's time. And every person's turn who was saying time or was counting time had a different interaction. Like some people were like, time, time. And some people went over and you'd be like, time, raise your voice a little bit because that person was singing in the front row. But unfortunately, Liz had the person who was very aggressive with time. And at
How
this
about
point,
enthusiastic?
Enthusiastic. Come on. I'm choosing my words wisely.
Persistently enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic about calling time. So hers, every time when she was there, every time it startled the people because it was like, time!
When it happened, I just said, because I said, what's the name? And then I said,
Uh-oh.
She said, time! And I said,
Yeah.
I literally got stiff as a board, and I did this deep, thank you!
Oh my gosh.
And got my stuff and said, and went.
It's like for auditioning, it's already scary.
Stressful, yeah.
It's stressful. And to add on the 2 minutes and then to add on somebody yelling time at you, I can't imagine what that feels like because I've never done a general audition. I usually go in for a specific show. Or a specific role. So I've never done a general. And I remember sitting there and being like, whoa, could I do this? Now, I will say, congratulations, friends, you did a really good job. But there were some children there, and I was really proud of the kids. They came in there, they were prepared, they had their music together, and it was just a lot of different interesting things that I saw. And being a director and a casting director, but also being an actor, it taught me a lot of things. Just sitting there watching taught me so many things of getting out of your head and not worrying about it. Because like I said, sitting there watching, I was like, oh my God, I could never do this. But by the end of it, it was like, you know what? You need to do this. Yeah. You need to do this. You need to challenge yourself in this way. You need to prepare yourself to do this because this is what you want to do and this is what you enjoy doing. So I applaud you, friend, because was not easy at all. But I think you did a great job. I'm just cracking up because you did do a hard bow.
I did.
Why did my friend just turn into bowing?
It was a knee jerk reaction. I did. It was just all visceral and instinctual. I just went into that's all I did.
I have a question. So I know in Seattle, when I lived there, we had the theater Puget Sound auditions, which were also generals. Mm-hmm. But they broke them up in a way. So there were specific equity days, and then there were children days, and then there were non-equity days. So that there are a lot more slots. So if you were doing a children's theater, the children showed up on that day, so you didn't have to worry about a child taking your slot. Because imagine if there's 2 days of 200 folks, if that includes children, they kind of take up and say, I don't know.
But for what I understood, TBA tried to diversify this, so I think they might have counted out slots for I don't know, don't quote me, but what I understood was they tried it. So there was over 500 people that applied, and then they had to go through and they went and looked at all of the people who were watching auditions. We had to submit what we were looking for.
Okay.
And so I think they took that information and then chose who should come to the auditions based upon the need of the folks that were coming to watch the auditions. So I think the slots were based upon that. I don't know what metric they used, but I want to say it was very diversified. I did see a lot of people. Now, I will be honest and say, y'all black folks was not in the building. Now, did we have some? Absolutely. But I don't blame TBA for that. My truth is I don't blame TBA for that because I'm casting now and I'm knowing that it's hard. It is becoming a challenge to consistently find black folks who are not already in a show or there's not a bunch of conflicts and things like that. So I think that we have to dig deeper into the Bay Area about finding black talent and then making sure they know when and where to sign up for these opportunities. But I don't want to. I don't think that was on TBA at all, because I think what they put in front of us was a very diverse group of people.
Well, that's
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
And then we just have to figure out how do we nurture that relationship with the Black community, Black actors community, because if you don't know about it, you figure like, oh, that's not for me. And so how do we do that? Yeah. So if y'all got suggestions.
Y'all have suggestions. We want to come out. I feel like it's important for us to go to schools. And talk to high schools and talk to colleges. I think it's important for us to attend like Black events that are like, for instance, we talk about it later. Black Joy is coming. I think it's important that we're out there and letting people know. I think that's what we talked about last week, is these theater communities have to get into your community.
Yes.
And if you want Black communities, you have to go to things that are Black in order to look for Black folks.
Because sometimes it's literally like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Like they don't know that it exists. I know it took, when I moved here, I didn't know how to find theaters. So I Googled 30-mile radius from my house theaters, and then I got on all of their mailing lists. So that's how I started knowing how to. That's the only thing I knew to do, because I didn't know Black folks in theater when I started doing theater. I didn't know where to go in the Bay, so I just started Googling things and started getting on people's mailing lists. So
awesome. Audition. It ain't for the weak.
So, question. Last week I think we talked about how do we show up in an audition.
Okay.
So you were there. How would you say they showed up?
I think a lot of people showed up prepared and ready. I do. I think the 2 minutes scared people.
Okay, good.
I think that's my truth. I think the 2 minutes scared people. So a lot of people were ready. A lot of people got time called on them. And I feel like some of them expected it, or was like, I'm just going to do this monologue until time is called, which is okay, right? Or I'm going to sing this song until time is called, fine. But people were dressed, they were ready, they were on time. Some people didn't show up. But I do think that it was really good. It was really kind of clean. It was a clean cut audition for me, I think.
That's good.
Yeah, I got a lot of names. Hey, y'all. I'll be calling you if I haven't already. But yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it, because also earlier that week, we had generals for SF Backco, Lorraine Hansberry Theater, and the Magic.
Oh, okay.
And that too, we were looking for a lot more Black actors, and we didn't get that. And that's not saying we're Black theaters. That's not saying we wasn't reaching for them, right? But there was not a lot of Black folks that showed up to that too. So again, where y'all at? Inbox me if you are ready to perform, or know someone who should be ready to perform. We're looking for you. We're looking for that talent, but we are trying to figure out how do we dig deeper into our inkwell. And get folks to come out.
Interesting.
We also, what else did we do? What did we see else we saw this week?
We saw some. You saw a show.
I saw The Wiz. I enjoyed myself. I think it is a great show to see for those who have not gone to theater a lot or like want to introduce yourself to a Black show. I think it's a great energy. I have my personal feelings, because I have so many feelings attached to The Wiz, and I think that's tough for theater folks to want to support Black art, but also have opinions about it, right? Because we want it to be supported. It's a big thing. It's going to do great for Black artists.
Say more about the feeling.
As an artist, I have strong feelings and opinions about things that go on stage.
Right.
Okay.
But I also do not want to downput our work. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, but we have the ability to be critical.
We can be critical, but I think...
And everyone's critical. I think we use this word critical like it's a bad thing.
No, I want to be healthy, and I want folks to go constructive. But I want folks to go see it, and I don't want my words about how I feel about it, or like my personal attachments to the show, to deter anyone else from going to see it.
I don't think it will. I think it's sort of like when I go to see something. The Color Purple is a perfect example of that, right? Yeah. I saw the movie, and I saw the original Broadway production. Loved that.
Yes.
And then I saw the revival, and I didn't care for that one that much.
We talked about it on episode
because I felt it missed some of the stuff. And then the new movie musical, the same thing. I think it missed some points.
Yeah.
So I think it's similar to you seeing The Wiz. If there was points of that production that are personal to you, and maybe you didn't get that experience, that's a valid examination of that.
Yeah.
Without being,
I think that's okay. So I'm gonna be hella real. So I wanted to go see it,
I did too.
but then I was like, "Oh, I gotta take my daughter because I want my daughter to see that."
I think
And
it's
then
good for this generation.
And I wanted to take my goddaughters.
Yeah.
But-
And then I looked into my funds, and I was like, "Oh Jesus, I can't afford that." I'm just being real. I was like, I cannot, because when I take my daughter to stuff, I don't do it like half-assed. I go for it.
Right.
And I was like, I ain't about to be sitting up here on the side where I can't see. I need good seats.
Right.
So unfortunately, cost was a preventative for me to go see the show. And I said, ooh, let me get my coins. I'm going to get ready for MJ. But I did not see The Wiz.
Well, I'm not going to front. Mine was a gift. Mine was a gift, and I understand that. Like, the price point for going to see a show at the Orpheum or going to see a show at, where's it at? It's at at the Golden Gate. It's not cheap. But I enjoy myself. I would say I enjoy myself, and I'm
And that's what
thankful my
theater's supposed
cousin
to do.
treated me. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
but I enjoyed myself. I think if you can go see it, go support. It's gonna go on tour and then go to Broadway. And may do some more touring after. So we'll see. You know, I think that it has work. I think it still has work before it hits Broadway. I think there's some points that need to be cleaned up. But to feel good and to see Black bodies on stage, yes. Yes.
So they did
and.
some updating to the script.
They did. They did some updating to the script. They chose to do things like, I don't want to give it away, but there was choices that they made. Like the Munchkins aren't there. They actually go to New Orleans.
Oh.
And it's like, so the music is different. There's different things that happen.
That's interesting.
Huh.
I know. It was interesting.
See, now
Yeah,
I know.
it was some interesting choices that happened. Ada Pearl doesn't sing. They gave that to they gave all those songs to Deborah Cox.
Oh.
So
ain't she playing Glenda?
She is. So Glenda comes out and sings that song. Like there's some choices that are made.
Okay.
See, that's why I don't want to see, and that's what I mean. Because did I have a good time? Yes.
No, but see,
did they sing the house down? Hell yes. They sung. But with that, they also sounded like they were in a tin can, so the sound wasn't great. But when they sang it, whoop.
right,
yes.
and I think it doesn't deter me from seeing it. Like it now just makes me want to see it with different eyes.
yeah.
Right. So now I go, okay, I want to see what they did.
Yeah, they did some different
And
things, y'all. They
now
did some
now
different
I'm
things.
sad I didn't get to see it because I would have liked to see if those things worked. Or
Some of
didn't
them
work,
did,
right?
and some of them made me feel like I was missing something.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's
There was
that's
one
valid.
big moment that it hurt my feelings.
Right.
Should I say it?
I don't know.
Go
Say it.
Who are we?
All right. Well, listen. If you ain't going to see it, you ain't going to see it because
It's
I'm about to close
closing
anyway.
tomorrow anyway.
But there was "Can't You Feel a Brand New Day?"
Okay.
Is the moment where they rip
Yes.
their clothes off, and they didn't. They like went off stage and came back out in colorful clothes, and that burned me up because I love that moment of that, like shedding the ill, the bad, and taking it off and having this like bright, the lights change. It just is. It's a Black moment for me, and it talks to me. It feels like oppression. It feels like finding your joy.
Yeah.
And we all know I'm
Shedding
a big thing
layers
about joy.
of-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when they went off and came back on, to me it didn't seem like they earned it. They didn't earn the joy. And then when they came back on, the costumes was
You wasn't feeling it.
They wasn't given.
Okay. So all
And
that effort for
remember in the
nothing.
movie when they came out of that, they had these like bodysuits. And I know not compared to the movie, I get it. But there was a moment, even in the play, when I did it in the 7th grade, we had trash bags on. And we tore out the trash bag. It was my favorite part of the show. Because we had a little trash, you know me, I had the trash bag on and I had tied a little trash bag headband on. Like I had to rip all that off to have this beautiful, colorful costume on. And the lights changed and it just felt like joy.
Yeah.
And so I felt, that moment, I felt robbed. I was like, whoa, hey.
Yeah.
You didn't do that right. So, but did I enjoy the number? Yes, I did. So I have theater and moments because that was my very first show I've ever done.
Yeah.
So it ties a lot of things to my life and even when it comes, whenever I hear like, Ease On Down the Road or something like that. It's always when I'm in transition.
Yeah.
So for this show to come right now, at the beginning of this year and
During Black History Month?
and it's
Your
just
40th birthday
my
year.
42nd birthday. Like it just feels like another transition. So I was I enjoyed it. I was happy for it to be there. But there was things that I missed, but not in the point where I don't want to support it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I make sure I want to.
And the thing of it is that the more and more that our shows are seen, the better.
Yeah.
And we'll feel even more comfortable. Like the apprehension that you might feel about critiquing or offering a different or opposing viewpoint, that'll lessen and lessen because we're, when there's something that's always out that's seen as the standard and, our stuff comes out every now and then. No, our stuff about to be coming out all the time. So that's what we're working towards so that we can be like, yeah, I'm going to talk about your boo because it's the culture. That's what we do. We do that.
You know what Rodney also said? He made a comment to me. He said, when Black things come out, they're always pitted against other Black things, like judged against other Black things. But they're never, like, white shows are never judged in that way.
They're not. And
so we almost damage our own. That's why I'm kind of careful in the words that I choose for this, because there have been so many shows that, and y'all gonna be mad at me, but what's that show y'all tell y'all I don't like all the time? Into the Woods, child.
Oh.
Everybody get mad at me. I'm not Into the Woods fan.
I don't either. It's weird. I think it's weird.
But if we don't do that to Into the Woods. We don't do that to
right.
every other thing. We do it to our own Black stuff, which we already have a fight to get there.
Yeah.
So when we get there, we have to protect it in a way so that we can keep making the door open for us, right? Yeah. Well, we need to compare it to, if we don't compare it to those things.
And I do. It's like I think for me when we talk about theater period, I try not to use Black theater. Like I try not to use a Black play because it's a play with a Black narrative. And that for me says I can compare A Raisin in the Sun to Death of a Salesman, right? Because it's about family.
Yes.
It's about struggle. It's about challenge. One is just from a white perspective and one is from a Black experience perspective. But I think when we say it's a Black show, that's where we kind of pigeonhole ourselves instead of just simply saying this is a show that everyone should see because it has universal human themes. And I think with The Wiz, like when you compare The Wiz to something like Anything Goes, right? And so, and they're also both set in different periods and times. But to your point, we don't pick apart Anything Goes.
Yes.
Unless a person of color gets in it.
Then we want to have something to say.
Then we want to have something to say. It's like, oh, that wasn't written for them. It's like, yeah, most things weren't. So, but I think we need to look at how that all pans out because The Wiz is still a good show.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, but I think people see it as kind of dated because it happened in the 70s.
Okay, we've been doing, how many times we going to do?
Anything Goes.
What's it?
Oklahoma.
What is
all
it?
them other shows, Mamma Mia.
We don't mention that.
Hairspray.
You know what I mean? Hairspray. That's
How many times you going to do that?
Right.
How many times you going to teach us about being separated in black and white? Moving on.
Yes.
So yeah, I enjoyed that. But you guys also went to go see something last night.
Yes.
We did.
What'd you go see?
Babes in Holland.
I went to go see it too. I didn't go last night with y'all.
Right.
And I saw understudies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. So
we saw the main cast.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Now I'm blanking.
I didn't know they had understudies.
Me neither.
Yes, they do. Because oh Lord, now y'all gonna kill me.
Anywho.
Yeah, I saw understudies, and so it was good. It was good. It was her first night going on, and now I can't think of her name because I don't have the program.
It's
with
okay.
me.
I have the program in my backpack, but it's like over there.
It's behind over there.
But it was good. I enjoyed what the story was talking about. I mean, I love a gay story, of course, a gay Black story. Ding, 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 sign me up. But there were some moments I feel like, because it's a new work, right?
Yes.
And it's still like, is it workshopped or is it workshopping?
So it was the playwright something was doing it in 2020.
Okay.
And then the pandemic hit, and then this is its first world premiere live.
Got it.
So I think to your point, I think it could benefit from one more look at look at it. For me, it wasn't for me, right? I sat there. And Liz, we sat beside one another during the intermission. At the intermission, Liz goes, "Oh, ShawnJ ain't said nothing or moved or anything." It's just, I don't think I was not its intended audience, right? And I was able to accept that, but it was also for me like I didn't get some of the music because it was very heavy. Something
There was some heavy rock in it, but
Heavy
there was
rock.
a lot of R&B as well.
and so for me, the story kind of, I think, like I said, it can benefit from, I think,
From
another
another,
round.
I think so too.
And the
I think
transitions
it's,
were way too long for me.
Yeah.
And so I think it's one of those things, tightening it up. Because I look at that, like I'm looking at pacing. I'm looking at, okay, there's dead space happening on stage
Yes.
right now. So now I'm able to check out.
check out.
Yeah.
Or I'm able to like go, oh, well, now I'm criticizing the scene
Yeah.
beforehand because now you've given me space
So much time,
to
yeah.
do that. So I think it's just, it was a lively audience. Everyone was engaged. And I think
It was a sold out audience when you guys went too.
And I think a lot of folks, there were some things that people were able to, it resonated for them.
Yeah.
I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to relate to some of that stuff. I did have a military dorm room. So I was able to relate to having a roommate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think some of the stuff, again, I do not believe I was its intended audience. And so I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah, I remember being that girl, like with no food,
Yeah,
with
and
no money. Like I
yeah.
remember those moments.
Yeah.
I remember I went to junior college, but I lived across the street from San Jose State. So a lot of my friends went to San Jose State. So like having a food plan and like those conversations, I was very familiar with,
Right.
and like eating on campus and having to pay bills and having roommates and that thing. So the story sat well with me, and then the coming out and like being afraid
Yes.
of that. So I think it has really, really good qualities
Yes.
inside of the show, but I agree with you that it's still like in a space where it can be tightened up a little bit for sure. I think it's really hard. One, when you have I think it was three people,
Yeah.
a three person cast and transitions of like, and I think that's a lot of. It happens to me too as being a writer. You want to just write, and when you write, you're like, oh my God, how is this scene change going to happen? Or and you're not supposed to do that. I know the director, but it's hard to think about time passing when you're writing. And especially for me, I run into that roadblock, and it's like, okay, how is this transition going to work? If this person is in this scene and the next scene, what do they do? How do they pass time? How does that happen? So I think it's still in that stage where it's still trying to figure out how to maneuver through the only having three people on stage. But I think the story itself is something that is really good and can be helpful to a lot of women, Black women, and that's
I
it.
was gonna say that immediately was nostalgic for me. I went to college in the l90s, in the late 90s, and I was like, oh yeah, my dining plan. Oh yeah. I was like, hella shit was like coming up to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like going to the shower, because like at my school we had to shower, there was closets, and you would go out your room and go into the shower closet.
Yeah.
And so after I got through all of the like the music and nostalgia, and I was like, okay, so where's the conflict? So like, come on, like heighten it up.
Yeah.
Because like it was not a joke. Like going to financial aid and trying to figure out how you were going to pay for stuff,
for
that shit
school.
was stressful as hell.
Yeah.
And I felt like the conflict we could have risen to the conflict much quicker, and it could have been heightened, expounded upon in a way that was more driving the story.
Yeah.
I felt like between the friend, the white girl, and the Ciara, that's what her name was. There could have been. I wanted to see more of that conflict.
That was
with
good.
the racial conflict that was happening between the two of them.
Yeah.
I felt like they kind of were like touching on stuff, like touching this, touching that. But overall, I'm thankful for the experience. I'm always thankful to be in a seat where I get to see some theater.
Yeah.
And new works are very important to
They are.
keep going. It's just, I think as you are doing your new work and you're doing this as a playwright, we talked about this in another episode, it's getting the right input from folks, because I think sometimes writers, to your point, get so bogged down on one thing instead of like, just write.
Yeah.
And then a director can look at it and go, oh, I know what I can do here. No. But also sometimes writers get really focused on the audience. Like, I need to tell the audience this. The audience needs to know this. And sometimes they don't, right? What does the character need to know? Just tell the story, and then you can pull out little kernels for the
drop them.
audience,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But as long as you are telling a human story with a human experience, we will find that connection. And we will be okay with that. But if we're so worried about the audience won't get this.
Yeah.
Right. And some audience members will be left behind, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
And some will be ahead of you. So it's always just tell.
Just tell the
story.
story.
Tell the story.
Tell the story.
Yes.
Tell the story.
And so one more show two shows that we saw last week and this show is closing tonight, but it was Island Trap and Black Book, starring Austin Dean Asher. Now, baby, when I tell you I was in there, life is interesting. And so we all have different challenges, but I'm telling you, that show spoke to my spirit. It really fed me in a way that was just what I needed. And this man got on stage and embodied, I don't know how many different characters.
Well, what was it about, Liz?
So the first Island Trap was the first show. And Island Trap was the Greek... oh my God. Okay, basically what that adventure starts with an O.
Oh, the Odyssey?
Yes, thank you, God. I couldn't think of it. So it's the Odyssey, and it's this adventure that he goes on, like as a black man and trying to figure out who he is. And he has this experience where he's talking to like live animals, and he's becoming live animals. And his journey as a black man in America, being a creative, trying to figure out his path. And then ultimately he goes through this crazy journey where he's embodying all of these characters, and then he like wakes up. And he knows who he is. He feels so much more confident about what his next role is. And baby, when I tell you that was a masterclass in voice, physicality, he was all over that stage.
Wow.
And I was like, it was beautiful.
And that was only a one-day show?
So it was over the weekend.
Okay.
And so I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on Saturday, it was a double header. So the other piece was Black Book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with Island Trap and Black Book on Saturday, I only got to see Black Book.
Okay, how was Black Book?
Black Book was really good, and it told the story about debate, how debate helps us understand each other and argue points and be more open to things, right? And so it was how his coach helped him and how he was going back to help other students in a black community, and how we have to reach back to pull forward. And so I think it was really, for me, it was very heartwarming because it told the story about some high schoolers who were being challenged and how we lose one, and how it's important to always remember you can't save everyone and everyone makes their own choices.
Right.
But you have to give them the opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
And this story, and he's embodying multiple characters, physicality of it. For me, it was the stillness of some of those moments, which was great. He pulled you into that story, which I really loved. And it was just, I love when an actor can utilize the stage and just tell the story. And he told the story very beautifully.
And where was this at again?
Z space, a Z below, I think, in their Z space below.
Okay.
And he was playing his ukulele.
And the
he
lobby,
sang.
and he sang. Yeah.
During the
very
show.
talented. Yeah.
Wow.
He is actually their residence artist.
Artist and
so
writers.
there's more artists and writers. Artists and
Come on and
residents.
get it out.
So there's more work that he's going to be doing
I can't
further
wait.
on
Pay
in the
attention
year.
to them.
Yes.
Good job, Z
He's really good.
Space.
He's
That's
really good.
awesome.
Yes, Austin Dean
It was
Ashford,
kinda
who is
cool.
a Bay Area native.
His dad was there on the night that I was there. I don't know if he was
Yeah, he was there.
And so he introduced him. And then it was just, you can see his pride in his son. And it was just like,
That's awesome.
It was beautiful to witness.
because we don't always get to have our
Check that
parents
out.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom's
Yeah.
there. So it's nice to see that happening in real time.
Yeah.
It's like,
All right. Well, we're going to walk into a little bit of center stage shade.
no, we're not in Center State Shade
Why we
yet.
not?
No. It's a little, it can be, so this next segment might be a little shady, but it's not Center Stage Shade just yet.
All right. We
So-
listening to ShawnJ.
Yes, thank you. I am the diva. So my question is, how do you show up in the rehearsal hall?
On time.
Well,
Can you expound upon that? Explain exactly what
thank you, Liz,
Okay,
for asking the clarifying question, unlike Phaedra. So,
But you ain't supposed to show up on time.
well, you are, no, you actually
Early.
a little bit early. Okay,
Explain what you
here we
mean.
go. Anywho,
Get
let's
into
just get into it.
Get into it.
So, here's my thing.
Yeah.
As an actor and as a director. So, as an actor, when I have a rehearsal call time, I always show up before, I guess, let's say it's 6:30.
Yes.
I don't show up at 6:29.
No.
I don't show up at 6:28.
Right.
I show up about 6:15.
Okay.
So that I can be in the space, acclimated, and ready to start
at 6:30.
Exactly.
That's
Right?
what I teach my students.
Yes.
And I think for me, that's my mindset, especially as an actor and as a director. As a director, I'm there 30 minutes early to make sure that I am ready to start at 6:30. And what annoys the you-know-what out of me
You can say it.
is, I know I can't because I want to make sure this makes it to the air. that people will show up exactly at 6:29.5, right? And then they got to use the bathroom.
Use the bathroom.
They got to
get
change
their
their shoes.
get their
some water.
book.
And it's like,
Hey, girl, give me a hug.
Exactly.
Girl, let me tell you what happened on my way to work.
And me and my stage manager, who always knows me really well, we will look at each other and we'll go, I guess we ain't starting at 6:30. And so, but I tell my stage manager, we start at 6:35 no matter what. Like, and people start rolling in, and then my stage manager tells them, so you all do know that your call time is at 6:30, not 6:32. We would like to start at 6:30, but we start no later than 6:35.
Yeah, because you're gonna be the one that's mad when it's check time and you ain't done Act 2 because you didn't show up on time, because all we could keep running was Act 1 because we couldn't get to Act 2 because y'all wasn't on time.
Right.
That
and
part.
then don't show up with attitude.
Leave that at home. This is where we play and have a good time.
Exactly, because you about to say something.
Okay, I want to break in a little bit.
Okay.
I agree with you. Yes, and sometimes shit be happening. Like, I remember one time on my way to rehearsal, I was upset because my car got stolen.
But what did you do?
I called and communicated.
As soon as it happened,
I let them know what was going on. I let them know why I was going to be late. So,
I called at 2:00. My car was stolen at 2:00. I didn't have to be at rehearsal till 6. I was like, listen, my car was stolen. I'm figuring it out and I'm trying to be there, but I'm letting you know now.
Yes. And I appreciate that.
Is going down over here.
My stage manager's phone number is in my contacts.
Put it in your phone.
I text my stage SM every single time.
Yes.
So, and then here's another thing, like, sometimes, like, certain theater companies, they, like, you know how everyone is, like, all into this loosey-goosey shit?
Oh,
they
What's
wanna be
loose
like,
and goosing?
let's check in.
I do like to check in.
I'm just saying that's totally fine, but take into consideration that that's something that they want to build into that.
I built that in. That is built into my rehearsal.
My rehearsal time.
So I call it a grounding.
And it's my time.
A grounding circle.
It don't matter what happened at 6:30.
I have a staff. And we all stand around the staff, and we welcome the ancestors into the space.
That part.
And then, but that's built in. And that's why I want people to show up on time.
That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly
what I'm saying. So keep that into consideration.
I like to check in with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to make this space feel comfortable.
Yes.
Sometimes, especially when I was doing A Misbehaving, I have a tea station for you. I have all that in the corner because you're singing.
I need to work for y'all because
that's what happens when you work with Black directors.
Yeah.
Not all.
I mean,
me and ShawnJ. But I like to make you feel comfortable. I like to make you feel good because I'm asking you to step out of your comfort zone. I'm asking you to be here and do certain things. So to get respect, you got to give it, right?
That's right.
And so being on time and respecting.
And also knowing that everybody is a human being and we are all, as much as we try to act like we say leave whatever you're going through outside, just have a level of self-awareness where you can be able to communicate clearly what you need.
Well, yeah, that's why we
even
do
if
a
it's
check-in.
being late. I know,
hey,
but
how was
sometimes
your
it has
day?
to
What's
happen
going
before.
on? Then I know how to move with you in the space, right? So that's why I do check-ins. Hey, I like to check in with everybody. How you doing? Because then you could say, oh, you know what? My car was stolen today. So then I know, you know what? She probably not going to give 100% today. So I'm not going to be on her helmet while she not doing all the direction I gave her.
On her helmet.
Yeah.
Because the bippers. They bit.
I'm not gonna be on her head or on her helmet because I know that she had a harder day. So that's why you got to show up on time so I can check in with you, see how you doing, so I can know how to move with you.
Yeah.
How
So
you doing?
showing up on time really means showing early, and I definitely agree with that.
So here's the other thing.
Okay.
And this might be a little shady.
Well, let it be if it is.
Well, we coming inside of the shade.
When it comes to people who are union and non-union, how do, in your experience, union people show up in the room? When it comes to working with non-union folks, when it comes to how they present themselves and treat each other. I'm
gonna tell you my first time working with equity artists. We were in The Color Purple. It was Dawn Troop was our Shug, and she did not have to come into rehearsals until like 3 or 4 weeks in. So she came in, and we were all, all of us was looking like. Who's this?
Who this?
Who this? And she came in. Her heart was warm. She was kind to every single one of us. She knew her lines. She helped with everything else. And she had good energy. And what I learned from her is how I move in the room. And I watched her, and I watched her to this day. That was 2011. That woman is my mentor. I still follow behind what she does because the way. And then on top of being in the room, and 3 weeks later, she taught as high school students. She brought a whole row of high school students in during our tech, and then went into the audience and talked to them about what we were doing, how we were doing it. So for me, my experience with equity people coming in the room, I've had nothing but professionalism and learning from them, and now I move in that such way. I've never been asked as an equity person to ask her come in rehearsals later, but when I come in a room, I come with joy and positive energy. I'm shaking everybody's hand. That equity don't do nothing but make sure I get paid a certain way. That's all that does for me. I don't move nowhere else. My heart is going to always be who I am. Every time you see me, I'm going to be loud and smiling and being who I am. That ain't going to never change.
Yeah.
So whoever got their little equity, I'm going to say asses on their shoulder, get them off. Get them off. Because that's not what this is about. We are all, first of all, I'm in a show with you. So how I'm too much better than you? I might be getting paid a little bit more than you. But we in the same damn show. Okay? The people that's coming to see me is coming to see you. And they going to remember both of us, right? So I'm not going to move stank. And they shouldn't be moving stank. Whoever moving stank should not be in that show. I'm going to just say that.
Is this typical?
My experience.
No, I hit it. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I've experienced that, and I've experienced some equity actors who are standoffish, and that's within their right. It's within your right to behave in a way that you believe that's best for yourself. As long as you don't bring it towards me, then we ain't gonna have a problem. But for the most part, you know, I'm not an equity actor. I'm a non-union actor, but I have a level of professionalism that is very important to me. Whenever anyone says my full name that Drew gave me, I want to make sure that you have an idea of who I am and how I'm going to come into the atmosphere, how I'm going to work. So that's what I have to say about non-union. And as far as working with equity actors, I have worked with several of them, okay?
Oh, look at the neck.
Several.
Yeah,
I sometimes, like you were saying, they can be very, very nurturing, and sometimes they're not. And I'm curious to find out why you wanted to talk about that. Is there an experience that you've had as a director?
No,
or as an
I've been in
actor?
shows where some equity actors show up and they're very conscious of, oh, it's almost time.
Oh, yeah, there are a whole bunch of rules. There are
Right.
equity rules. I don't move that way because, and this may be not good for me, but I don't move that way. When I'm in a theater room, if I'm in a rehearsal room, I want to be there. Like,
Yeah.
and to me, I will work past time. I will work past the break, especially if I'm in the thick of it. Like, oh man, like, you know what I'm saying?
I've worked with some equity actors who would do that.
And they're
They go,
like,
oh, let's just go.
no, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And there are rules, and there are some people
Yeah.
that are very stickler about it because they've had bad experiences with other theater companies.
and that makes sense.
Yes,
But I leave that to
did
the
meet
stage
that.
manager to handle.
But some stage managers don't be on top of it, and so sometimes there was this girl. I love you. I'm gonna say her name. Hey,
Nope.
Constance.
Oh.
I can. Constance was on it about everything when we did crowds. This you got to do this way, and I was like, oh my god, this girl is crazy, right? Like about this whole equity thing. When we first started rehearsing, and I was like, I'm gonna be over here on this side of the room because she is like way too much. But once we started doing the show and once we got into the dressing room, I love that woman to the death of me. And she is on it. And she's on it because she knows that Black people deserve to be treated away. And she wants to make sure. And we didn't have a whole bunch of Black people back behind that show.
Right.
So she was on it in protection of me,
Right.
in protection of everyone else, right? And she came from a different place. She's from the Bay Area, but she lives in LA, and they move different there, right?
Yeah.
So it made her move. So I had to respect, oh, you move that way because of the way, where you've come from, where you've worked, and what you feel like how we should be treated in this room. So I honor her and I respect her now. But when we were first starting, I was like, this girl is tripping. She doing way too much with these breaks and these times and what we supposed to have and voting and all that. But now I respect her because she on it in a way that I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. And she's making sure things are taken care of. She followed up things for me. Oh no, baby, you're supposed to have this, this, and that. Oh no, they owe you this, this, and that. And so even when I was doing Sleeping Beauty, Renee Lubin, who I love, Black woman, was like, come here. You're supposed to do this. They supposed to do this. They supposed to do this. And I was like, oh, I was just going to bring my own, or, oh, I was just going to do this for myself. And she was absolutely not. So I understand, to your detriment, to your point, I understand, like, whoa, they're intense. But some of them people are intense because they're making sure that Black folks are getting the things that they deserve in rooms that we haven't been.
Yeah, and getting good with just the SM, I'm telling you, getting good with them. Getting good with them. And, equity, non-union, we just hope that you present your best self.
We're all in there together.
We're all in there together, and what we're doing is you are creating something that is never going to happen in any other time because it's with a unique group of people, unique cast and crew, and you are presenting and creating and sharing your work. And so that is a spiritual thing, whatever your belief is. It's spiritual, it's spirit, it's energy. It's something that's special and unique. So treat it as sacred.
Yeah.
Treat it as sacred and honor it. Yes. Honor it, okay? Now can we do? Can we
now go into the shade, ShawnJ? He's the boss of the shade. How is he the boss of the shade?
Center stage shade.
Moving on in.
All right, so this is the center stage shade.
We have come to the point of our show where we do center stage shade.
You better come in, voice. Come on, voiceover.
Center stage shade. Yes.
So center stage shade this week is I can play all the roles.
Really? Can you?
Could you?
Did
you? I checked all the. They said, "Do you want to? If you don't accept this role, do you accept any of the other roles?" And I was like, "Yep, sign me up."
But do you mean it?
It depends.
And what does that mean? It depends.
Well, I don't want to play the trash lady that ain't got nothing to do. Or this one time, they had me moving all the set pieces. We all know what that was. They had me moving all the set pieces, and I was like, "That's not what the fuck I signed up for."
Yeah. Now, what motivated this was an article that you read, right?
It's an article that I saw. Shout out to Theater Folks of Color. They posted an article from a theater director who was talking about how he gets really annoyed when actors come out for auditions and they audition and they say they can be and stuff, and then they don't get the role they want, and then he called them and they were like, "Oh, I can't do that role," but he was like, "But you put on here that you could." So that's what sparked this shade. Are we really doing that? And if we are, why? Why are we checking that box if we don't really mean it?
So I will speak from my experience here because I think sometimes it depends on how they word the question correctly. Correct. So if they say, "Are you available?" or if not cast as this, would you accept any role?
Yes, if not cast as this,
and I generally say maybe.
Yeah.
If they say yes or no,
you make your own box.
I say maybe because it depends on the role.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on the commitment of that role, right? Because and also what am I doing? If I'm running across the stage butt naked, no,
don't sign me up.
Right. So be clear about that. And I think as a director, I'm really clear. Like when the actor does put that, I call that actor. Right. I saw something I like, but they cannot play this role.
Yeah.
Right. This role is not theirs. Them. But they can totally be in the show because their energy, their gift. I want that in the room. Right?
I want to work with you.
And so I would go, "Hey, so I want you to be in the show, but I want to cast you as ensemble member number 4." And it's because I see, but I explain what it is, right? I say, "What are your thoughts?" And they go, "Well, let me think about it," right? Or they'll go, "No." And if they say no, I say, "Oh, so what role would you accept?" And go, and they say the role that they want. I go, "Oh, okay." And then I know you didn't really mean it. Right.
Yeah, and I can speak for myself too that it just depends for me on what the show is. Because sometimes I know in particular shows, yes, I want this role. If I can't get this role, am I willing to play this role? It just depends. So I also do maybe, or I will consider X, Y, and Z, or I'll just put straight up no. I put no. So I think that it all goes back to transparency and being honest. Think about what you're doing, because whenever you're not exactly telling the truth and being as honest as possible within reason and communicating to everyone who needs to know about things that might change or happen in your life, you're creating a precedence for yourself that people are going to think about when they think of you or hiring you.
Yeah.
They feel like if you're dishonest, they can't work with someone who's dishonest.
Well, yeah, we had somebody show up 2 times to auditions and was offered a role twice and turned down both roles. Why did you come to audition?
Well, maybe they may have gotten something else. Because I'm gonna be real. Like when
Didn't
I'm
say that. I'm sorry, I was offered another position.
Did they say that?
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I declined. You came to 2 separate auditions for 1 season, showed up, and got roles that you auditioned for, and didn't take them.
Oh.
You
And no
wasted my
explanation?
time.
Oh.
You wasted my time.
Yeah, that's.
So, to your point, precedence has been set twice.
Twice. I'm not
this
ever
person.
calling you again.
Exactly.
And I'm telling everybody else that they don't call you neither. Oh, what about so-and-so? No.
Don't do it, babes. Don't do it.
Don't waste
do
my
that.
time in the audition room. I called you back. I saw you for the roles. You know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And another thing, conflicts also tie into that.
Oh, my gosh. Don't come with no new
Don't
conflicts.
come with new
Don't come with
conflicts
new
after you've been
conflicts.
offered the part.
Child, can I mic check? Can you turn me up? Do not.
James is in the building,
Do
y'all.
not
James is in the
add
building.
new conflicts. Do not add new conflicts. It's so frustrating as a director because I build my rehearsal based upon everybody's conflicts and what I can get done. And then here you go, and it's time to do your scene. And I gotta be at my auntie cousin pajama party because she turned 86. Well, we better pray she turned 87 because you're not gonna make it this year.
No, you did.
Hey, that's cold. You better pray for her.
Oh my
But seriously, like it's so frustrating because
yeah.
I can't. I'm at rehearsal and you're not there.
Especially when you sign the contract.
You signed up. And I get it, things happen. And I'm not talking about things like people getting COVID. I'm talking about you coming up with these just random conflicts. And it's hard. It is one of the hardest things to do as a casting manager and as a director to like really organize these like 3 months that we have. And we are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to make these productions happen. And I think that also goes lost on actors is that you're only concerned about like your check and making sure like your bills are paid, and we get it. You need to be paid. But you have to understand we're putting on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $60,000 shows. And you're like, "Oh, I'm just not going to come today." No.
Yeah, it also impacts your other castmates.
It
does.
impacts everyone
impacts
in the
everybody
room
involved.
and the morale and
Yep.
the energy. You know, so really, if you're going to be in a show, commit to that show, commit to that time, commit to knowing your lines, commit to studying,
Lord.
commit to being in that show. That's a big, like you're saying, it's a special thing.
Yeah.
It is a
Sacred.
spiritual,
It is.
sacred thing. So when you say you're going to sign up to do it, and do it with everything you got.
And if you can't do it, you need to
Then
really
let it go.
reevaluate, like, what are you doing? Because,
Yeah.
baby, I'm telling you, they are not going to hire you. If you think that the theater community is not big, it's big, but it's small.
It's small, and I'm talking. I talk. all the
Everybody
time.
do. Because I know I do.
I don't talk at all.
Lies and betrayal. We're going to move
Please,
on because
moving
he's
on.
real shady, right?
All right, so we are so thankful, as always, for all the questions that you guys send us for Into the Shade. Please keep those questions coming. You can DM us on Instagram. You can email us at creativelyshaded@gmail.com, and we will answer your questions. Today,
Come
we're
on,
going to only
shoulders.
do 2 questions.
I think it's the mimosa
It's not the
talking.
mimosa.
It is. I love them. Thank you, ShawnJ.
They good, though. I'm slurping on it. You see me shipping. So, I'm just going to read this question from one of our listeners. If one were wanting to move into roles that affected measurable change in the theater community, what roles have highest effectiveness in bringing about that change, and why?
All of them.
And what are all of them, Miss Thang?
So board members, producers, directors, casting, theater company owners, people in the audience, all of those positions are important. If there's something that you enjoy as a Black artist, go after it. Yeah. Those all can make changes. As a casting, I'm also thinking about when I see roles, how I'm always thinking, how is this Black? How can I make this, be a Black experience as a Black woman? Because I want to tell Black stories. I want the Black narrative. So that is where change can happen. As a board member, you have choices that you have to make, financial choices that you have to make. You can make those choices to invest in Black dollars, in Black businesses, to put our money in Black banks. Those are choices that you can make as a board member. As producer, what shows are you choosing to put on? What writers are you choosing to read? That can make a change of what you're putting on the stage. As directors, how are you directing and making sure the Black narrative is told in a way that it touches us and them, right? Like, to have audiences that are not just Black, but they include everybody, because we need everybody to all us. So every one of these roles are important to do change, but you have to be in those roles. So if you're interested right now in a role in theater, there's so many jobs.
So many.
There's so many jobs in theater. Find what you're good at. Go ask somebody to sit by them. Go ask somebody to say, I want to learn this. Go say those things and go be in those rooms, because we need you. We need more Black people behind the scenes, in front of the stage, in the audience, and spending any money. So
I would say
no
also with that,
place too small.
Oh, snap. Behind the scenes is really important.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we only look at what's on stage and not realizing that those artists on stage need the support of the ones behind the scenes. And if they don't look like them or have a similar experience to them, it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel as creative. And I remember when I did Aubergine I was understudying at Berkeley Rep. And it was, I think it was a Korean story that has a Korean son, a Korean father, Korean girlfriend, and then it had a guy from Africa, somewhere, I can't remember what he was, Benin in Africa, I think, and then a social worker, right, who was white. And so you had a majority people of color cast, and all
the people behind him was
behind
white.
The scene was white. And I sat watching a rehearsal one day, and I saw this, and I went, wow, how, ooh. And it's someone said this last week. In the year 2024, we shouldn't be doing any all-white shows anymore. Like, you should be casting people of color.
How are you doing that in the Bay Area? The Bay Area isn't even all white. Like,
well,
what?
If that's not your focus or your intent, it will be. Like, if you keep doing, to your point, you did Maine, and you were Vera, but I would have loved to see Maine be
Black.
Right. Or Latina. Or Asian American. Or, like, there's so many more than just white. Yeah. Especially in this year, 2024, the year of our Lord and everything else. So I think to that point, but I lost my point. What was I saying? Oh, so also being a house manager, because that also impacts
the way you're treated in the audience.
So those parts, those roles are really important.
All of them.
No matter, like, volunteering, being an usher,
all of them.
All of that. Get into it. Get in there.
I was reading an article, I want to say earlier this week, where Zendaya was she's on a Disney show, and she told them that she wanted an all-Black family. Like, all of the family members needed to be Black. And that she's the actor. She showed up in a way that was like, hey, this doesn't make sense. So no part of the theater is too small to make an impact or to create change.
Absolutely.
You just have to use your voice.
Yep. All right, so we're going to move on to this next question. It says, how do you feel about being asked to sound more urban? How do you navigate that? Okay.
What you talking about, Liz?
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you're asking someone to sound more urban, what are you really asking them to do? Are you asking them to sound more Black? What does sounding Black mean? We all know that there is the African-American vernacular, Ebonics, Black dialect, whatever you want to call it. It can come off if you ask that question, and depending on who you are, if you're white, and if you ask that question, it might come off or be perceived as being racist. So here's my thing. You have to think about Black people are not monoliths. We are multidimensional people, just as all of the other human beings that are here on the planet. We are not the same. And what is it that you're really asking for? I say to you, if someone asks you this, I want you to come back into them and for them to give you a detailed explanation of what it is that they mean or what they want.
Well, I have have a comment because
Okay, what was that stutter stuff?
I'm trying to think about the way I want to place this in how I want to say it. So there is a way that I want to see more black girl. Like Liz, you and I are two different black women.
Yes, we are.
Like we are two different black women, and sometimes it's written for your black woman and it's written for my black woman. Do we agree with that? There's an energy in which sometimes it's written in the script that you have a woman who's a little bit more maybe from the street, has experienced life in a certain way.
Yes.
And what the question is one, if you have a white director, how do they approach it in a way that says, hey, I want you to be a little bit more Phaedra and not a little less Liz?
Okay.
How does one do that?
I think it's different for each person, right? So I'm not white, but if I were a white director and I was casting, I'm going to trust the actors auditioning have read the script.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And if it says they are from East Compton.
Okay.
In 1985.
Okay.
And their family has struggled, but this particular character is well read. This particular character is always in their books. Mm-hmm. This particular character does not speak the street lingo, right? Mm-hmm. But her brother is all out street.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You can say it that way. I haven't included race in any of that.
No.
Right? And so you say this character is more street. You can say it that way. Yeah. This character is more
saying more black ain't it.
Yeah, don't say can you say more black?
So be more descriptive in your explanation.
Exactly.
So I need her to feel a little more street. I need her to feel a little less educated. I need her to feel a little less or more whatever, right? Is that what we're saying? Is that
flavor, right? Give me some flavor.
Give me some sauce.
Give me some
put
spice
some
on that.
Okay.
Stank. I always tell my other people, put some stank on it.
Yeah.
Right? And no matter who they are.
Bring it home.
Right. But even when I'm talking to non-black actors and I say, put some stank on that, the white people know what I mean.
They know what you mean. Why?
Like,
so the idea of using urban or more black, y'all, is not it.
Don't
you
do
have
that,
to be
baby.
a little bit dig deeper in your vocabulary.
Dig a little deeper.
And what it is that you want to see. Also, that you need help with a dramaturg. So
you do, baby.
The dramaturg can give you a little more information on how to make sure the actor gets what they need and educated on what they need and the character that they need to be playing.
Absolutely.
But also, actors, do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. But
what's homework?
Studying your character, going and reading the script, and then finding a backstory and making sure that you know why you're saying what you're saying and the intent in how you say it makes
You mean
sense.
Script analysis?
I mean, do your damn homework. You're an actor.
Yeah.
Don't think you're just going to come in here and play a role. It is more than just reading off the paper. Really knowing a character, really embodying.
I don't do that.
Well, then you ain't going to be on my show.
Yeah, and we also know that for those who are in the casting who are on the opposite side of the table, there is a history of discrimination and that's happened and appropriation of the black dialect. There is history in that. So don't come for us in that way. Do your homework. Be mindful because we talk too. And baby, we will shut
tell
your
y'all.
shit
I'm not
down.
about to play with y'all.
We ain't gonna do it. But thank you for that question.
That was a really good question.
And always advocate for yourself. If you ever feel uncomfortable with anything
Liz coming.
that an actor,
She got a little Phaedra in there.
I did, because I'm just like,
you better become more
life,
Phaedra and Leslie.
because I've heard that in my life. I've heard that you sound white. I've heard that so many times. I'm not even going to go down into that and what that means and what all of that is.
No, yeah, that
You're
doesn't
very
feel
articulate.
Good.
It's because my mom had me reading at the age of 4.
It doesn't matter what it's because. It's just who you are.
Yeah,
and stop putting black women in small boxes because we don't fit there. We never fit in a box.
Stop putting
honey.
people in boxes in general.
Up.
Exactly.
You know
So
my
thank
rule,
you for that
get
question.
rid of the
Always
boxes.
advocate for yourself. Moving on.
And
All
we're
right,
moving
so
on
listen,
up.
we want you to go out and see stuff again. We're telling you where to go see shows that have black actors, that have black directors, that have black people behind the scenes. We need you to go out and support. So we were starting with, I'll start with my show that's coming up.
Put your horn.
So it is a rolling world premiere, The Black Feminist Guide to the Human Body, which is presented by the Lorraine Hansberry Theater at the MoAD, y'all. We in the Museum of African Diaspora. Yes. It's going to be a reading that includes a talk back with the playwright Lisa B. Thompson and the Margot Hall. And it's featuring yours truly, Idris Cooper, and Aida Pirizada. So the three of us will be having a reading at the MoAD. Come out. It's on the 24th. It's free. Go ahead and we'll put a link in the... We'll post it and put links in, but you can reserve your spot and then you can go to the museum. I think it's a great experience. So I've never been, so I'm really excited about being a part of this. But also being directed by Margot is like a dream come true for me. So come out and check us out on the 24th.
Yes.
And we also around town, this is in the San Jose area, people where they are. I should probably put my glasses on so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Because that's one of those key elements of, there we go. At the San Jose Stage Company until February 25th. It features Terrence Smith, who I directed in a Soldier's Play, Kathleen Ridley, Jordan Covington, creative team.
Oh, Jordan's in it.
Director Benny Sato Ambush, dramaturg Awele Makiba, who's in the show that I'm in right now at
okay.
And so it takes place in spring 1955, the Jim Crow South. 6 ordinary people from vastly different backgrounds wrestle with the obstacles to a fully functional democracy and each other as they seek to move the nation forward.
Wait, who's doing this?
San Jose Stage Company.
I cannot wait to see this. Jordan auditioned at the TBAs. Great work. Kathleen Ridley is she's amazing. And Terrence was supposed to play my husband, hey boo, in a show. And we always call each other theater. Like, we never got to play. The show got canceled because white people was white people in. That one dropped out. But Terrence was supposed to play my husband, and we've been connected ever since. So that's nice. So cool. I can't wait to see that one.
Yes.
All right, next. We got a little rewind. We got to redo. Aren't You playing at the Marsh February 10th through March 2nd. Following a 5-week run in Berkeley last spring and a 9-week run in San Francisco, critically acclaimed Aren't You returns to the Marsh Berkeley for limited runs Saturdays at 8 p.m. For tickets, head to www.themarsh.org.
Directed by yours truly.
Directed by myself, ShawnJ West, and it features Fred Pitts, who wrote and stars in it.
It's a really great show. I've been there, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Please go and see it. Am I doing this one?
And last but not least, we have Bottled Spirits, which is actually a screening that will be in person on February the 18th at the Parkway Theater in Oakland. This is presented in partnership with the Lorraine Hansberry Theater and the Anti-Police Terror Project, written by Kat Brooks. Kat Brooks is fire. She is no holds bar about the Bay. Directed by Elizabeth Carter and starring Margot Hall. There will be a post-show discussion led by the celebrated talk show and activist. Go ahead.
W. Kamau Bell.
Thank you. Bottled Spirits tells the story of a 50-something-year-old Louise, a native West Oakland, a community once known as the Harlem of the West. Gentrification has turned her beloved community into an unfriendly and unrecognizable territory, and the weight of being Black in America now threatens to crush her. So go check that out on February the 18th. That stars the Margot Hall.
Yes.
So go check that out.
We also have coming up Rent at Berkeley Playhouse from February 23rd to March 31st. It features Anthony Mullins, Miles Meckling, Josh Alvin, Sydney Jacobs Allen, Salona Husband.
Yes.
It is set in the East Village of New York City. Rent is about falling in love, finding your voice, and living for today at the Berkeley Playhouse.
.org. Black Joy Parade.
Woo-hoo. Are y'all going?
You know I'm going, girl.
I'm going.
I may have rehearsal.
February 25th.
During the day?
We'll see.
Okay. February 25th, go out to Oakland.
Yes, a hyper-positive nonprofit based in Oakland, California that celebrates the Black experience and community's contribution to history, culture, with its significant parade and celebration partnerships and events. Celebrate the Black experience past, present, and future at the 7th annual Black Joy Parade.
Yes, go out there,
BlackJoyParade.org. February 25th.
Have a good time.
And it is, did I say it was free?
It's free.com. There's a lot of vendors out there. There's a lot of Black information out there. We'll be out there passing out flyers for San Francisco Bay Area Theater Company. So we want to get to know you. If you see us, say hey. Say shady. What is it? Into the shade. Give us a question or something.
Yeah.
Talk to us if you see us.
Yes.
And lastly,
Not lastly, we still have one more.
I'm about to say it.
One more. I'm gonna squeeze it in between there.
Oh, go ahead.
So So, because the next one opens March something else.
Yeah.
So, a world premiere of Unpacking in P-Town.
Come on.
Written by Jewel Gomez at New Conservatory Theater opens March 1st through the 31st. I'm in it.
Come on.
And tickets are currently on sale. So I highly recommend you get them because I haven't been on stage in 5 years.
Whoa.
And in this one, I get to tap.
Come on,
So,
Happy Feet.
You're going to want to see those happy feet moving because it's been like 20 plus years since I've done that. So please come out and support Sir Diva because I'm going to need that support in the
I'm
audience.
going to be hollering, hooping and hollering.
Yes.
And now,
last but not least, Sign My Name to Freedom. The Unheard Songs of Betty Reed Soskins will open March 29th through April 13th. This will be done with SF Batco. This is our show that we've been working on. It's gone into workshop and now will be done. If you ever came to our New Boots Theater Festival, it was in the Theater Festival. Now it's a full production featuring a cast that yours truly put together. Of Kathleen Ridley, Tierra Allen, Aida Prezada, Jasmine Milan Williams, Luca Troutman, and directed by the Elizabeth Carter. This story is about how to chronicle 102 years of life. Bay Area icon Betty Reed Soskins has survived it all. In this world premiere musical based on her life that she's still living, acclaimed by playwright Michael Jean Sullivan, weaves Soskins' original music. She wrote her own music, y'all, in and out of her dialogue for the four Bettys. There's Little Betty, there's Married Betty, Revolutionary Betty, and Ranger Betty as they take us through a century of the Negro, colored, Black, and African American experiences of this amazing woman. So it's her life story. She wrote this. Mm-hmm. It went to a book. Now it's going to be a play. And we've used her music and partnered with other musicians and infused her music into the show.
To see that.
So it's going. We also have Joanna Highgood and Laura Elaine Ellis who are doing the choreography. We will have people who are doing aerial. It's going to be something you do not want to miss. And tickets start as low as $15. 15 at Z Space. So do not miss this show. It's going to be one that we will talk about for a long time.
Yes. And there's one more. MJ the Musical is playing. And we have a discount code that was generously given by MoAD, the Museum of African Diaspora. The code is MoAD.
MoAD.
And it's playing
capital MoAD.
Use that code to get a discount off. And go see Michael Jackson, y'all.
Go see all of these shows.
All these shows. Go support Black art, especially during Black History Month. We need your support, and you need to go do something that has something to do with Black folks.
Yes.
Yeah, this month and every month of the year, but for sure this month.
And if you have a show that you want us to recommend, suggest, send it to us, DM us, or tag us, and so that way we know what's out there because we don't know everything. So we need you to help with that. So.
At Creatively Shaded. All right, don't forget, on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. Keep in touch. And guess what, y'all? We got somebody in the building who's normally behind the scenes. But we're going to put you on camera. James, come on up in here.
James takes care of all of our editing and our sound. James is here with us today. Thank you, James. Mwah.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to Creatively Shaded. We'll be back with another episode, but go back and watch all the other 7, okay?
Please do, because this is episode number 8.
Yeah, so remember, click, like, share, comment, subscribe.
YouTube,
set that reminder so you
always
can be pinged when we do launch something, anything and everything.
Because you never know what we're going to do.
You never know what we're going to do. So as always, stay fierce, fabulous, and focused.
And Black.
Smooches.